Love lives here.
Good morning. Thank you, Jabel. Thank you, Neil, for the beautiful invocation. And thank you, Jabel, for doing a beautiful job with Shine Be Glorious by Amy Steinberg. It is one of my favorite songs for sure. And it is such a wonderful, grounding, centering song that reminds us of who we really are and what we are about, and that is to shine the love of the divine. So thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So let's start with our focus statement this morning, as we always do. I invite you to say this with all of the passion and the feeling behind it, and to really embody what this means to when we share this focus statement for our community. The Blue Jays are joining in the chorus this morning, evidently. So here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Let's say it one more time. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. So this year at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, we are working with the theme of 2020 spiritual vision. And haven't we been experiencing spiritual vision? We've certainly been getting a lot of clarity. Perhaps it's not the clarity we were hoping for, but we have certainly been getting a lot of clarity. And this month at Centers for Spiritual Living Worldwide, and right here at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, we are working with the theme of conscious connections. And I want to remind you that on page 72 of this month's Science of Mind magazine, you will see a prayer written by me. So if you have not had the opportunity yet to flip to page 72 of your magazine, I invite you to do that after service and read the prayer, and you can have that prayer with you all month long for you to refer back to. So it was an honor to be asked to write that for the Science of Mind magazine. So today, we kick off the series of cosmic connections, and the thing I would like to share with you this morning. The title is about reflections, and not just about reflecting on who we have been, but who we are becoming. I want to think about reflections from another perspective too. That what we see in the world and what we experience in the world, what we see in the world, we are seeing with, right? What we see in the world, we are seeing with, because what we know and we affirm is that everything is one, that there is just this oneness, there is this allness, this totality, there is only one. And we are each one with the one, and therefore we are each one with each other. So what we then know is that that which we are seeing, that which we are experiencing, is a reflection of who we are. Everyone that we interact with, everything that we encounter is a reflection, is an outpicturing of something within us, of who we are, or how we are thinking about things, or how we are experiencing things, or how we are viewing things. It comes from within. It comes from how we are choosing to believe, what we're choosing to believe, what we are thinking about, what we are giving our propensity of thought to, what we are focusing our intention on, how we are focusing our intention, is a reflection of our beliefs, our feelings, our values, and we then see that out into the world in greater ways. So that whatever we are experiencing an aspect of each other. We are experiencing an aspect of the divine, because each one of us is the divine made manifest. So we are experiencing an outpicturing, we are experiencing the divine showing up as all of the beloveds that we are encountering. So as we come into experience with one another, or we come into experience of watching something even on television or the news or what have you, that what we are seeing out there we are seeing with, because what we're seeing out there is a reflection of what is going on in here. So that means the good. So if we're seeing compassion, we're seeing acts of compassion, we're seeing acts of love. We see um, how our dogs and our cats and everything is there. When we see these things with love, we are we're seeing it with love, we're seeing their love, we're experiencing their love, because that is a reflection of our love. We have that capacity to love, so that's an expression of our love. However, if we're also seeing rigidity out there or judgment out there, hmm, maybe then that's a question for us to ask, well, where am I being rigid? Where am I judging? Where am I accusing? Where am I shaming or blaming or what have you? Where am I engaging in that type of behavior? Because that's what I'm seeing out there, because it's a reflection of something that's going on in here. Does that make sense? So, in thinking about this from that perspective, it is a wonderful thing to think about that the divine itself is expressing individually and uniquely as each one of us, as these divine emanations and impartations of the divine, that we are being fully expressed and we are in relationship with one another to experience relationship with one another, to experience um, love, to experience challenge, to experience these things together, so that we may continue to grow, so that we may continue to develop, so that we may continue for the unfoldment of our soul, the unfoldment of who we are. This is how we come together, and this is how we learn from one another, and this is how we experience more of ourselves, more of ourself, and more of the divine itself. It is the divine experiencing itself through all these individualized expressions of itself, through our consciousness, through the one mind, through the mind that we are, through the oneness that we are, the divinity that we are. But you may be asking me, Reverend Jeffrey, I see these things on TV. And how is that a reflection of my consciousness? Because I don't do that. I don't participate that way. I don't show up that way. I don't say those awful things. I don't participate in the hatred and the negativity and the oppression. I don't do those things personally. So, how is it then that I'm seeing those things showing up on my TV screen night after night, or day after day, or 24-hour news cycle after 24-hour news cycle? How is it that I'm seeing that? We're seeing that because we are part of the collective consciousness. We frequently call it science in Centers for Spiritual Living the race consciousness, but it is a collective consciousness, it is a collective unconsciousness. It is a So what we are seeing out on our news feeds, if you will, is a reflection of the collective consciousness, not just a reflection of your individualized consciousness, but a reflection of the collective consciousness, a reflection of society. And so sometimes what's that showing up as lately is it's showing up as insecurity, it's showing up as arrogance, it's showing up as oppression, it's showing up as racism, it's showing up as basically unhealed mess and it's showing up as inequity, it's showing up as injustice, it's showing up as division. And so that's what we're seeing, even though that's not necessarily how we show up on a daily basis, but we're still able to see it because we're part of the collective. We're part of that collective unconsciousness, or we're part of that collective consciousness, that societal consciousness. And so what we're seeing on the news is a reflection, just as if we have a relationship with our partner or a relationship with, a family member or a friend, that relationship is a reflection of us. Then what we're seeing on the on the larger scale is that what we're seeing is a reflection of the larger consciousness, the collective consciousness, or the global consciousness. But the global consciousness is not all bad, right? The global consciousness isn't all negativity. The global consciousness is also positivity. The global consciousness is also innovation. It's cooperation. It's compassion for one another. It is a joining together. It is a marching in the streets. It is a movement forward. There is a collective consciousness that is also doing this as well. And so we are part of that as well. Each of us contributes in our own individual way, but we are part of, yeah, unhealed mess. Each of us is part of that greater consciousness that is all consciousness, that is the oneness and the allness and the fullness. So, how do we then begin to shift what is out there in front of us, whether it is in our personal relationships, our personal lives, or whether it is in our collective lives or societal lives, right? How do we begin to shift this? Because if we think of ourselves as a reflection, if we think of everything as a reflection, then what we know is that we are kind of standing in front of a mirror and things are being reflected back to us, whether it's our individual consciousness or collective consciousness, as I mentioned. So we're standing in front of a mirror, right? So if you think about standing in front of a mirror, you don't, and the mirror is going to reflect you, right? Or whatever object you place in front of the mirror's job is simply to reflect whatever's in it. In order to change the reflection, you don't go to the mirror and try and scratch the mirror and try and scratch the glass to change the reflection, right? You don't do that. You don't try and make alterations to the mirror itself, right? To try and shift what's being reflected in the mirror, right? What do you have to do? If you want to see a different reflection, you have to put something different in front of the mirror. If you want to see a different reflection, you have to put something different in front of the mirror. If you want to see a change in the reflection, you have to change what you place in front of the mirror. So it kind of comes back to the Michael Jackson song, right? I want to make a change. I want to make a change in my life. I want to make a change in the world. And where do you start? You start with the person in the mirror. You start right there. So if what we are is that we need to, or we have the opportunity to start right where we are, start with us, start with the person standing facing you in the mirror and looking into their eyes, looking into the eyes of the person standing in front of the mirror, in front of you, which is you, right? And look into their eyes. Deeply look into their eyes and see the divine. Feel the love and feel the compassion for the person standing before you in the mirror. And breathe that in. For some of us, that may be a challenge to feel that. We're so accustomed to putting ourselves second or third or fourth or fifth or last that we don't take time to stand and behold the beloved before us in the mirror. But this is where we have the opportunity to change. This is where we have the opportunity to connect with spirit. Because what I know to be true for me is all relationships, all of my relationships, whether they are close friends or my relationships with my beloved people here, or whether it's just even being in a relationship with somebody I see on the television or somebody that has entered my consciousness, what I know is that all relationships are a reflection of the one relationship. Because truly there is only one relationship, and that is your relationship or my relationship. That is our personal relationship with the divine as the divine. There's only that one relationship because there is only one life, one power, one presence, one love. There is only that one. So there's only that one relationship. So all of my other relationships that I have in my life are merely reflections of the quality of my relationship with the divine. Let me say that again. the status of my relationships, the quality of my relationships with all of life, no matter which individual it is a reflection of the quality of my relationship with the divine. It's a reflection of that one singular relationship. And so if I'm experiencing separation over here and I'm experiencing connection over here, this is a quality of my relationship with the divine, but so is this. So is this. There's still a feeling of separation. There's still something there. This is a reflection of my relationship with the divine. And so then this is where I have the opportunity to do the work to bring this separation, this feeling of separation back in, to bring it back in, and to remember that there's just the one relationship. So it starts with the relationship that we have with the divine of our understanding. It starts with connecting to spirit, communing with spirit, entering into conscious union with spirit, entering into conscious union with ourself through a capital S. Yes, Kenneth. The eye through which I see God is the same eye through which God sees me. My eye and God's eye are one eye, one seeing, one knowing, one love. Yes, 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 yes. So we have the opportunity to connect first with spirit, connect first with God or self, yes? And then connect with ourselves. And as we are more in alignment, as we are more in attunement with spirit and with ourselves, then what we then begin to see reflecting back to us is that love, is that light, is that peace, is that harmony. That is then what begins to be reflected back to us by all the other beloveds, by all the other divine beings that we are in relationship in our lives, in relationship with in our lives. So that is the opportunity that we have is to be spirit incarnate, to remember the true who of who we are, to really develop that relationship with spirit, and then allow it to shine forth. So that's why Amy's song is so beautiful and so pertinent today, is shine, be glorious, reflect the divine, spirit of mine, reflect the love, right? Reflect the love of the divine. This is our opportunity. And as we continue to reflect the love of the divine, we reflect it back to ourselves. We reflect it to each other, which are also ourselves. So this day, what I invite you to do, and every day, but starting today, I invite you to take time to really commune with spirit. Get outside like I am right now. Get outside, or sit in a quiet space. Find a quiet space, even if it's just for 2 to 5 minutes. Find a quiet space and begin there. Begin listening and communing with spirit itself. Then I invite you to go to a mirror. Go to a mirror and just stand there and look at yourself in the eyes. Begin to see who you truly are. Begin to see and love and be present with yourself with a capital S. And appreciate the divinity. Feel the love well up as you're looking into your eyes. And then you can expand it and be grateful for your arms and your body and your legs and your hair and your ears, and begin to be grateful for your body temple. But begin there, loving and appreciating yourself with a capital S. What I've learned is that putting ourself with a capital S, putting yourself first, is not selfish, that it is actually an act of love of the highest order. So today, I invite you to reflect the divine, shine, and be glorious. And so it is. So let's come together in consciousness here this morning, shall we? Right here and right now, I recognize that there just is this one power, this one presence, this one infinite eternal, this one love that is moving through all, is all, as all. There is just this one in relationship with itself. It brought forth all of creation through itself as itself. It is the totality of being. It is the totality of consciousness. It is the totality of all that there is, and it simply is. And I recognize that I am one with this one, that it is the very who of who I am, that right where I am, love is present. Right where I am, light is present. Right where I am, peace is present. Right where I am, harmony and wholeness are present. Because there is just this one. And as I know that this is true of me, I know that this is true of all of creation. I know that this is true of everyone present here this morning, that each is one with the one. Each is a reflection of the divine. And so I speak my word here for this beloved community, Riverside Center for Spiritual Living, knowing that collectively we reflect the love of the divine. We shine it forth out into the larger community, that we are centered and grounded in this divine love, in this divine knowing, that we bring it forth, that is at the forefront of our consciousness, that we come together inextricably connected with one another, inextricably connected with the divine, that there can be no separation whatsoever. And so it is this knowledge, it is this awareness, is this embodiment that we bring forth here and now. And it reflects forth from us, and it reflects back to us. And so I know that we do great work in this world. I know that we are cosmically connected. I know that we continue to love one another. We continue to shine one another. We continue to lift one another through dark times, through sad times, through challenging times. We continue to lift and motivate and celebrate and embolden each other to live our highest potential through that transformative power of love. I'm so grateful for this beloved community. I'm so grateful for this time together. I'm so grateful for the realization of this truth of reflecting good. Deep calls unto deep, and deep answers. Love calls unto love, and love answers. Light calls unto light, and light answers. And so this is what I know to be true for our community. I give thanks for it. I release this word into the law, knowing it is absolutely done. I let it be. And together we affirm. And so it is.
Love